It's Sunday night, and this is the Conjugal Visit on KGFRocks.com.
Yeah, that's right. It's the Conjugal Visit on KGFRocks.com. You're here with myself, Free Ride, and my good friend Guido. Guido, say hello to everybody, will you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm just fucking with you.
You always fucking with me on this shit, man. It's a weekly fucking event, man. You always fucking with me on it. And I know you can hear me, man. I know you can hear me because I can hear you breathing in the background and laughing, keeping from laughing.
Yeah, but talk about the breathing, man. It sounds like I'm on with Weezer here, you know?
No, not tonight. I got my inhaler handy, my coffee. I got everything I need, man.
So are you going to watch the big sporting event tonight?
Which one's that?
Fuck WWE's
I'm not going to watch
WrestleMania, dude.
I'm not going to watch the WWE Wrestle fucking Mania. I'm going to talk with you, and then we're going to talk with Allan Davey tonight. So we're really busy. So I ain't got time for that wrestling shit. Besides that, I haven't been a wrestling fan since fucking Andre the Giant. So yeah, I'm done with all that shit. Yeah. It was great when I was a kid. Don't get me wrong. It was really great when I was a kid, but you know what? I'm not into it, dude.
What are you into, man?
What am I into?
Besides granny panties.
I'm into rock and roll. I'm into good rock. I'm into classic rock. I'm into new rock. Let's see, what else am I into? I'm into my work. And I'm into my old lady.
Are you into her right now?
Am I into her right now? Yes. But I'm not in her.
Right.
There's a difference. Big difference. as he lights the pipe. Yes,
no,
sir.
that was just a cigarette.
It was just a cigarette. Oh, I see. Okay.
This is a drug-free show.
Oh, it'll be a drug-free show for you.
Not really, but I'm just...
I didn't fucking think so. So what you been up to this week, man? How's the weather out there in Buffalo?
It's decent today. It's nice. It's a little cold, but it's not freezing, so that's a plus sign.
Right.
But it is. It could be here in Western New York. It was 74 degrees one day, and the next day it was 36, and the day after that it snowed. So,
nice.
It's and then the day after that it was like 56. It's like, what the fuck? Do I put the coat away? Do I keep it out? Do I?
Oh yeah, and I bet you a shitload of people are getting sick up there too.
Yeah,
it makes you sick, man. The change in the atmosphere and shit makes you sick.
I know it doesn't just make you. There's not a lot of people. I see more people getting like fucking bored and like cabin fever and just need to get the fuck out and into the sun and
need some of that vitamin D, that vitamin C you get from the sun. Yeah, I dig that. And this weekend has been extremely gloomy here in the Midwest. I mean, it's just like overcast, raining, off and on rain all fucking day.
Well, you know what? The one thing I love.
Serious. It didn't get serious at all today.
No, but the one thing I love about living in the East here is, unlike the West Coast, we appreciate the warm weather more, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think you do, too.
And we fucking pack the summer with shit to do, my friend. I mean, like, it's... Yeah. You can do something every day here because
it'd be a different experience.
Sure, just because we only are outside in the summer, and then but we do have winter events too, indoor events, and we have ice skating rinks and shit like that. But we do so much here in the summer, and I think people in the West, they're sunny all the time. They don't appreciate it,
That's always. That's the way it is here in St. Louis too. I mean, for the most part, people just they save all their fun for the summer, but we get out and about when it's cold. I mean, I go to concerts when it's cold. They're inside venues. I go to clubs and stuff.
Do you like the outdoor concerts or the indoor venues better?
I like the indoor venues better because they're air conditioned. When I was younger, I guess I enjoyed the outdoor concerts more.
Well, see, I like the outdoor ones more because I don't know about where your outdoor one is, but where we have here, it's at a theme park, and in the grass area, you're still allowed to smoke.
I see. Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to smoke at all tobacco, which I don't.
Right.
I don't think anybody follows it. To be honest, everybody smokes, and especially in a city like St. Louis and Missouri. Missouri is per capita number 2 in the country for smokers.
Right.
Number 1 is Virginia. So,
and
it's because of our low taxes. We're still paying $3 a pack for cigarettes in the state, for crying out loud.
And we're paying 10.
And you're paying 10. So there's a big difference.
Right.
And a lot more people smoke in Missouri. So at the outdoor venues, at Riverport, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, and then we have Busch Stadium, of course, and then I used to remember outdoor concerts being a pain in the ass.
Really?
Yeah, because, you got people all hot and sweaty. They're all sweating, and they got their shirts off, except for the women. They can take their shirts off, but they generally don't.
I just don't like when the fat dudes take their shirts off and think they're all the shit. Like me. If I took my shirt off and just walked around like nothing, I'd be like, oh, man, look at that fat slob. Look.
Oh, you're not a fat slob. I've seen bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Of course, there's bigger, but it's all. I'm just saying, people walk around these concerts like they're there by themselves. You're not there by yourself, okay?
No, you're not. No,
your body may be offensive to other people. Cover it up.
Yeah, cover it up. And I've seen some ugly women walking around in that bikini top,
right?
And it's really gross. And it's like they got the zits on their back and shit, and just kind of, oh God, put a shirt on that.
You know
bitch,
why
man.
people leave the house
Christ.
like that? Because they ask their loved ones or whatever, how do I look? And you're going to lie to them because you love them.
Yeah. Don't lie, guys. Don't lie. Tell them, put a fucking shirt on, okay?
Tell them, do I look fat in this? No, honey, you look fat in all your shirts.
Tell them the truth.
Yeah,
tell them the truth. Sweetie, put on a shirt or I'm going to act like I don't know you at the show.
Right.
Okay?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But they're not going to tell the truth.
No, never. And just like Eric Clapton when he wrote "Wonderful Tony," it's probably like just whatever.
Just leave me, just whatever. Just I'm going to sleep.
Get the fucking dressed, and then he made it into a love song.
Right, exactly.
That's the worst part about going to anything is if I'm going to something, concert or anywhere, a wedding or whatever, if it's at 6 or 7. I'm 1:45. I'm ready to go. I still got about another 45 minutes of makeup to do.
No, you got another 45 minutes to go, man. When you're ready to go, you're sitting on the couch and they wonder, dude. They wonder why you're fucked up on the way to the event. Mm-hmm. You're already fucked. You got to drive. What do you mean I got to drive? What? I can't drive in the condition I'm in. You don't want me driving, And so then they get pissed off because you couldn't wait to get high or have a few drinks before you left the house, and you can't drive now. And I said, well, it's all your fault. And she says, how is it my fault? And I say, well, it took you an hour and a half to put your fucking face on. Right. And I was downstairs waiting for you. I've been ready to go. The show starts in 45 minutes, dollface. So,
you did not tell her that it took her an hour and 45 minutes to put her effing face on.
No, I didn't. I would never tell my wife that.
Right.
Never,
absolutely.
Ever. But you know what I mean. I mean, these rednecks out there, they do it, and they won't tell the truth. They'll say, "Oh, you look great," and they're just not looking great.
No,
okay?
no. Here's a tip. If you went to see Def Leppard in 1985 and you wore your spandex shirt, in 2017, it's probably not going to fit anymore.
But they're going to try and wear it.
Right.
They're going to wear it.
Maybe some will, and God bless you, the ones that can wear it and it still looks hot.
And the belly's hanging out from below. But if you can still look good in it, go ahead, go for it. I don't even think Def Leppard wears that. I think they wear blue jeans and T-shirts now, don't they?
Yeah, Def Leppard's like mom rock now. Yeah.
Yeah, they wear maybe leather pants and put a fucking cup in it, you know? Yeah, a cup or a sock or something.
Right, leather pants and stuff. And
leather pants or stuff like that. But they don't wear the spandex.
The last time you saw a girl wear leather pants, dude?
I've never seen I've seen people wear leather pants and couldn't get the fucking things off.
I've seen Joan Jett wear leather pants. That's about it.
She looks hot in leather pants. As a matter of fact, Joan Jett still looks pretty decent.
She's not. No, you have no chance with her.
No, she's a lesbian.
Your wife might, but
my wife might. Yeah, and my wife doesn't like her, so she's not into Joan Jett. She's more of a young Pat Benatar kind of a girl.
Pat Benatar,
yeah. When
she was young, she had a big mouth.
Yeah, she did. Teeth
fucking huge.
Yeah, big opening, big gap. Large opening.
And she was always running with the shadows of the night. I never got that.
Yeah, I never got that. And Hell is for Children? What the fuck? When I was a kid, I had a good time, man.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Of course, I had, my parents, and some folks have different parents.
Well, she got totally 80.
When I fell off the fucking swing, dude, I fell off that fucking swing, dude.
How'd you turn this into about you?
It isn't about me. It's about Pat Benatar.
She went from like Pat Benatar rocker to Pat Benatar, let's do what the 80s pop wants to do. Because, hit me with your best shot and all that stuff was rock. And then all of a sudden, when she did Love is a Battlefield, it was like she thought she was a pop star.
No, she could never make it as a pop star.
That's why she lost her fan base.
Yeah, and then she went over to the Spanish stuff, and she did a couple of albums in Spanish, where they were Spanish love songs.
What? I don't remember that.
Oh yeah. She walked away from it completely. Matter of fact, didn't she do a stint on Broadway?
I don't know.
Where she was in a Broadway play for a while. And then she fucking tried to get back into rock and roll, and it went okay for her.
You're thinking about like Debbie Gibson or something.
No, I think I'm right about her. She left rock and roll for a while.
No, I think rock and roll left her. I don't think Pat Benatar did no Spanish albums or no. I think.
Oh yeah.
No,
I'm thinking, man. You know what? I'm swearing to it, man. I think I'm right on this thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Come into our chat room over here and tell
why would she do? She's not Spanish. Why would she? It would be like me doing freaking Spanish album. I'm not Spanish. Why would I do a Spanish album?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, you know what? I'm looking it up now because I don't believe you.
I'm going over to Wikipedia.
I'm here already.
Rock, hard rock, and pop rock.
Where do you see? She has this album name, Inamorada, but it's not no damn Spanish album.
Yeah, but if you listen to it, there's nothing on there but Spanish music, man. I swear to God. I swear, she walked away from rock and roll for a while. She did.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right. 1984 to 86, 88, 89 to present. I mean, she hasn't done a whole lot. Room Full of Blues. She did the blues. She did some blues music. And then she walked away, and then she did Gravity Rainbow, which was not rock and not pop. It was more of an adult kind of an album. And then she went into, let's see, what was it? Where the hell is it?
I don't fucking know, dude. I think you're all crazy.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I know there was an artist out there that kind of walked away from rock and went into this. Yeah, that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, walked away.
What?
Man, let's see. I guess
you're not going to find it.
No, I guess not. It's not in here, that's for sure.
You can't stump the Guido, dude.
Can't stump the Guido.
If I tell you it's gospel.
Yeah.
Probably is somebody that I think you're confusing her.
Yeah, it could be.
there is probably somebody that walked away and did Spanish music or whatever. I don't know who would do that. I don't know who would have a successful Gloria Estefan, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
But if that's the case, that's two totally different people. And yeah, you need.
In '97, she toured with the Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
And
98,
did all that kind of stuff.
With Julio Iglesias and the Latin All Stars.
See, that's what I'm saying.
I just made that up, dude. Oh my God!
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Maybe it wasn't Pat Benatar. Maybe it was.
It's not Benatar. You're smoking something.
Yeah, you think I'm smoking something?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably. You're probably right.
Because there's no way that she did any Spanish music. If she did, probably saw a YouTube video of her singing something Spanish, because I think her husband is Spanish. His name's Neil Giraldo. I don't know if that's Geraldo or Giraldo, or I could be like stereotyping him, but maybe he's Spanish and she was singing to him in a YouTube video and you saw that. I don't know. I'm trying to save you here. And you're not here with me. Or you're choking or something.
She married a Spanish guy.
I just said all that. Now you're going to come in and say that.
Well, you're agreeing with me. She went into this Hispanic kind of a modem that she was in, and she was doing this bullfight music and shit, you know?
I'm calling it right now.
You ever gone to a bullfight, Guido?
No, I did not. Why would I go to how would I go to a bullfight?
Bullfights are awesome. I went to a bullfight in Nogales, Mexico, and it was awesome. I'd like to go. You know, it's supposed to be quite an event if you go tripping on acid.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to be the clown.
You want to be the clown? There's no clown.
The rodeo.
There's rodeo clown. You want to be a rodeo clown?
Yeah.
Oh, why would you want to be a fucking rodeo clown?
Yeah, that's probably a stupid job.
Yeah.
I'll take my application out of that.
Yeah.
that you got to have a lot of fucking balls to have that job, because not only are you're protecting the rider that fell off, so the bull don't kill it, but you're an angry motherfucker to chase you.
Well, you're doing that when you're bullfighting too, because that bull is pissed.
Right.
You're going to kill him, and he knows it. That bull knows that you're going to kill him.
Yeah. Well,
he ain't going to go without a fight.
I think the only toro. What does toro mean? Do you know?
Toro means bull. That's bull.
Oh, I thought it meant
Spanish. Toro. Yeah, bull. And he's calling him.
My lawnmower says toro. I always thought that meant lawnmower.
Well, it's as strong as a bull. That's the impression that toro makes, is that they're as strong as a bull.
I thought it was strong as an ox.
No, well, you can be as strong as a bull, too. A bull's pretty strong. As a matter of fact, I think a bull is stronger than an ox.
Yeah, but an ox won't fucking impale you.
A bull is, but a bull will kill you. Mm-hmm. No question about it. They will kill you. I mean, you've seen these fucking... Would you ever run with the bulls, dude? That's a great question.
No, why? Why would I run with angry bulls again? That's the stupidest thing that people do. Letting angry bulls chase you through a city street.
Well, but there's no stopping them, man.
Yeah, right.
There's no stopping them.
Why would you run with them? Why?
And I better have one hell of a head start. I mean, have you ever had a dream where something or someone was chasing you, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah? You think? Not some wild chicks or nothing like that. Some kind of a creature. Some kind of a creature is chasing you. Like a drunk rabbit or something is chasing you down. No?
A drunk rabbit? No, I've never had a dream of drunk rabbits chasing me. That's a new one. Put the shrooms down.
That's my third cup of coffee. I must be tripping.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I must be tripping.
Oh, really? Yeah.
What?
You know, I've never had dreams of. I've had dreams of being chased, I think, before. Yeah, I don't remember dreams a lot. You know, and it's like, is that bad? Is that good? Who knows? Who cares?
Right.
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit?
But
No, but dreams tell you things, man, don't they? I mean,
I don't know. I don't never remember dreams that often, unless maybe it's a really good one. I've remembered a few.
yeah. I mean, have you ever had a dream that just scares the shit out of you?
Uh, yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I've been scared, like Freddy Krueger dreams and shit. Yeah.
Right. I had a dream
But I think, not to cut you off, but I think your mental state when you go to sleep predicts what you're going to dream. Because if you're going to watch a horror movie and it scares the piss out of you and you go to sleep scared, you're probably going to have a scary dream.
no, because they've proven that to be false.
I don't know. Why not?
Well, because what it does is it gives you a reverse action, and your dreams turn subtle after that because it's already been scared out of you. Okay, and I don't like scary movies, but I definitely don't like scary dreams. And I've had a few scary dreams.
Right.
I mean, I've had dreams where I've been shot at. I've had dreams where when I was still in the service, I was having dreams on board ship that would just blow your mind. I mean, I had dreams I fell overboard and got left behind and shit, and I'm out in the middle of the ocean. I mean, oh, you think that's not scary, man?
No, that's scary. That's probably one of my biggest fears. Is I don't like boats, man. That's why I don't know how anybody could be in the Navy. God bless them, because
Thank you.
Be petrified of being stranded in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing. People don't even realize how vast the ocean is.
It's so vast. It is so vast. There were times when we didn't see land for days.
Right.
I mean, it was just like, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days without seeing land will have an effect on you. That's why they run their courses to where they're at least going by land masses as you travel.
Right.
Like when we went to Australia, we blew past. It was such a long ride. We blew past New Zealand first before we went over to Australia, and that was quite a sight to see. New Zealand was awesome.
But that's only because they didn't want you to know that it's a lot closer than you think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't very close because it was a long time before we finally hit Australia.
Did you? Yeah. Well, Australia is on the other opposite end of the hemisphere.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're going across the equator and the whole 9 yards. It's for days. Literally for days. It's like, will this trip ever end? But yeah, well, dreams are dreams will give you a path to your future. I mean, have you ever had deja vu?
Well, that's not a dream, deja vu.
Well, I think it's from a dream, though. Oh, I've been here before, and you get that impression that maybe it was in a dream that you had,
or maybe it was an alternate reality, and you were there before.
Now, what do? Do you follow through with what was in the deja vu, or do you try to change the deja vu? That's the question.
I just let things be the way they are. You can't change greatness. Why fuck with it?
Yeah, right. Okay, that's true. Why fuck with genius, right?
Right, exactly. It's just wasting energy.
Just why try to change it? Just let it flow, right?
Yeah. So you still got to pee? That's funny that you started the show having that.
Oh yeah, I got my back teeth are floating. I got to piss like a racehorse. That's funny, don't you think?
Yeah. Did you see that video I sent you of Niagara Falls?
No, I didn't see that.
It's in there, man.
It's in there?
Oh, yeah. It's like a real trickle at first, and then it picks up.
Drip, drip.
Yeah. It's exciting footage.
Have the wife turn on the faucet.
Right. But it's no, I did send you one last week. It's still there in the chat box, but it was cool. They light up Niagara Falls every now and then, and they'll make it the water colored. Of course, it's done with lights, but it still looks cool.
Did they turn it green for St. Patrick's Day?
I think they did. Yeah. They've turned it, red, white, and blue on 4th of July.
Right? Just to show
like
the
that.
Canadians we give a fuck.
Right.
Did they turn red on Independence Day for Canada?
I guess, and
I would think, right? They turn it all red, when the Canadian team wins the Stanley Cup, turn it all red and shit.
Yeah, probably red and white, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Well, doesn't the border go right down the middle of Niagara Falls?
Yes.
Okay, so literally, if I went over the edge of Niagara Falls in a barrel, and I started on the American side and ended up on the on the Canadian side, I crossed the border, huh?
Yeah, because
I'd be illegal.
Niagara Falls, USA, and Niagara Falls, Canada is just separated by the river that flows from the falls.
So does the borderline go right down the center of the fall?
No, there's two falls. There's the Horseshoe side.
Okay.
There's two waterfalls.
Ah.
There's the big Niagara Falls, which is the one that everybody sees. That's the Canadian Falls. And then there's a Horseshoe Falls that is on the American side.
And that's smaller.
It's smaller, but it still is, a pretty massive waterfall. It's not as big as the Canadian side, but the only thing that separates it is a bridge. There's a bridge that goes in between, and that's it.
And you can walk across this fucking bridge over the falls, huh?
Well, you used to be able to, and until they changed all the laws. Now you have to have an enhanced license or a passport. But yeah, you could walk over the bridge.
Wow. So extreme vetting is included, huh?
Yeah, because of all after 9/11, before that, we'd go to Canada for the weekend and, maybe go to one of their amusement parks or aquariums or whatever. And
without a special visa or a passport, right?
Right. Where are you from? Buffalo. They just ask you a few stupid little questions and you go through. And come back, they ask you more questions. Why were you there? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're on your way. But now.
And the American side says, do you have anything to declare? And you say no. Right. And say, okay, see you later. Bye.
That's it. And then now you have to have an enhanced license or a passport. And
really?
I'm sure they do more vetting than ever because of the terrorism and it's a border. Let's face it, you don't want terrorists from America getting into Canada, and you don't want them coming from Canada to America. So
right.
It's needed. Unfortunately, it's needed, and it's bullshit because for my whole life, and for my parents' whole life, and forever up until they changed this law, Canada was open borders, to us.
Right.
We just came over. We were all friends, blah, blah, blah. And it's not like that anymore because we both still want each other's residents for tourism, for whatever, shopping,
right.
Whatever.
It's just more difficult now.
Absolutely, right.
It's more
so
difficult.
what you could do on a day where you could just plan a day and go to, like they got this place there, it's really cool. It's called the African Lion Safari, where you get in your car and you drive through and the lions are all roaming free and, the whatever. But we can't go because now I'd have to get all my children, a visa or a passport.
Right. And now, if there was a concert or a show up in Montreal, which isn't it Montreal that's closest to you?
No, the closest is Niagara Falls, and then St. Catharines, and then Montreal is a little bit away. Yeah, I would say
Montreal's the closest capital to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there was a show up in Montreal, you'd have to have a passport to get all the way up to Montreal now once you pass a certain sector, right?
Well, you don't even need a passport. All you got to do is go to the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles, and you buy, and they ask more questions, and there's more things to fill out because they do a little background
Why do
check
you want to go to Canada? This and that.
And then you get an enhanced license. Now, the enhanced license works for not only the Canadian border, but the Mexican border also.
So you can drive down in Mexico.
Right. So if you if you're only traveling, this is for any American, absolutely. So if you're only traveling inside the Americas, South America and North America, so if you're going to Canada or Mexico or beyond, all you need is an enhanced license because you don't need a passport. Because we used to all be open borders to each other. But now if you leave this country on a plane to go to another continent, you're going to need a passport, not an enhanced license.
Right.
So.
Oh, okay. Well,
but if you got
now I know. All I know is if you go to the Bahamas now, you need a passport.
Right, where before you did it because the Bahamas were a entity of the United States. With the Virgin Islands too, you never needed one before. And I don't. The only place that you don't need a passport for, I think, is Puerto Rico because it's
an American territory.
So that's about it. But everything else, we got the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands are American territory. There's a couple other ones too, not Guam. I can't think of the other one. There's some Caribbean islands that we are in.
Yeah, Guam. We've got Guam.
Is it Guam?
Yeah. The Marianas Islands. We have those. And
I need passports to get to that.
Right. You don't need. But who wants to go to Guam? There's not a lot there.
Yeah, I don't know about Guam, but I definitely love to go to. I don't know what's better though. I hear the British Virgin Islands are better than the U.S. Virgin Islands, but I don't give a shit. I'd like to go to either one.
Yeah, I'd like to go to the Virgin Islands. That'd be fun. But how would you get there, Guido? You'd have to fly. You can't take a boat.
Oh, I would rather fly than take a boat.
Yeah, you'd rather fly than take a boat. See,
Absolutely.
I don't get that. I don't get that. I mean, out on the ocean and it's beautiful, dude. When the sun sets, it's just gorgeous. Sometimes if you sit and you listen, you can hear the sun sizzle when it goes into the water.
I was glad I was in the Army because anytime we got transported anywhere, it was either in a vehicle or a helicopter or, a small plane. I never had to get on a boat. I was glad about it.
I had the pleasure of doing both, and I had the pleasure of flying in a helicopter when I was in the Navy. And also I got the pleasure to do that when I was in the Guard. And so I did it all, man. Yeah, that was pretty much fun. But being out on a ship, man, there's nothing like it.
Well, I don't know if I would. Okay, let's rephrase that. I do kind of want to go on a cruise line. I'm afraid of it, but I would love to do that someday. But I would not want to be working on an ocean liner, to be on that all the time, or in a fishing boat, or in the military in a ship for months at a time. Especially the submarine dudes. Fuck that. I am not being under the water for months at a time.
You wouldn't catch me dead in a submarine. I've got claustrophobia so bad. I had a problem sleeping in my rack. I couldn't sleep on the bottom rack. I had to sleep on the top rack because the top rack gave me more room. So
and I respect and give my thanks to all those guys that are men and women are in those submarines.
Right.
But you ain't catching me in one.
Yeah, I had to sleep in the top rack. Well, listen, we need to get to our guest.
Yeah,
and I got to piss like a racehorse. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Allan Davey here.
Okay.
Okay, and the first song I'm going to do is Head First. And this is Allan Davey on Conjugal Visit. We'll be right back with Allan Davey right after this.
All right.
All right, Mr. Allan Davey.
Hey, how's it going, bud?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Nothing, brother Guido. Nothing at all. I'm just sitting here looking at all the goofballs, reminding them to tune into the show here on the Facebook pages, and
it's a
just
job,
hanging
man.
out with you guys.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Actually, no, it's not. This is actually a very good break for me. I'm sitting here with my Valhalla Odin blend from Death Wish Coffee, from Zach Wild's coffee company.
Oh, cool.
And actually resting because I spent the whole week recording with my side band, not doing solo stuff. I've been recording with my side band for the last 4 months with Cost of Death on a project that technically we've been working on for like 8 years, but because we're all in separate bands, getting together to work on this project that's been the pain in the ass.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, yeah, and switching amps too, because usually since 2008, I've been using Mesa Boogie amps again, and mainly Mark IIIs and Triple Rex, but pulled out all my old Marshalls, dusted them off, retubed and rebiased a couple of them, and that's what I've been using for the Cost of Death stuff, and just realized it's funny. It's like, it's funny. It's like, you ever have one of those things that you haven't used in a long time? Even guitars with me, because I got like 140 guitars.
Right.
I'll pick up a guitar that I haven't touched in like 10 years, and I'll start, I'll tune it up and I'll play it. I'm like, why the fuck did I ever put this thing down?
Right.
Well, that's what happened with these Marshall amps. Some of these amps I haven't played since like the Razors SJs in the late 80s and early 90s, and the stuff I did with Ben Orr and stuff. These JCM 900s and these 2203 JCM 800s and 2204s, and my SLX JCM 900 has gotten more use now than it did 20 years ago.
Right.
So
there's
it's
nothing
weird.
like those classic amps and stuff. I love the sound of
I concur. I concur. And the thing is, too, Todd, is that if you want that Marshall sound now, you have to get a Black Star amp, because those are the guys who used to build the old Marshall amps. Because all the new Marshall amps, really, let's face it, they suck.
Right.
You can tell they're using cheaper components. They're not using the same capacitors and resistors that they used to use. They just don't feel right anymore. And it's like, and their stock tubes, you got to rip those out, replace them with either JJ test plugs, or believe it or not, this is actually a secret ingredient. I'm going to give you a secret ingredient to my tone on my SLX 900. Tube it with Mesa Boogie tubes. There's something about those Mesa Boogie tubes that just kick ass. I don't know who's making them, but whoever it is, they must be working overtime, because those things are freaking awesome. They take a pounding.
Actually, that was Guido who was talking about the equipment stuff.
Yeah.
Free ride don't know equipment.
Free ride is just getting a free ride, is what free ride is doing, right?
No. There'll be more to come later. Trust me on that one. We can't there's no way we're going to spend an hour on just equipment.
Are you shitting me? I could spend a day on equipment. Who the fuck are you kidding?
I'm sure you could.
I got 140 guitars and 45 amps. Duh.
140 guitars.
You got like 300 pedals.
And you only use one, right?
You know what's funny? When it comes to the overdrives, you're not too far from the truth, Guido. What I do is I don't use distortion pedals. I use just overdrive pedals, because I think distortion, especially on tube amps, can get too spongy.
Right.
At least with me. First and foremost, disclaimer, different strokes for different folks. Okay?
True.
I'm not saying that mine's the be-all, end-all guitar tone. But the thing is with me, ever since I started playing when I was 10, because I had a cool uncle, my Uncle Mickey. He's the one, while all these other kids, the 10-year-old kids, are listening to like pop radio, I'm listening to Iron Maiden, Killers, and Iron Maiden's first record. I'm listening to British Steel. I'm listening to Defenders of the Faith. I'm listening to Sad Wings of Destiny. I'm listening to Old Bon Scott, AC/DC, like it's like church. I'm listening to Saxon and Diamond Head.
That is close to religious right there. That is very close.
Yes, it is.
To the rock
and any Van Halen album up to Diver Down, because Diver Down is when they started going down.
Okay.
Diver Down is when they went commercialized.
No, 84 is when they really shit the bed. And personally, I think Roth did the he did the honorable thing.
Right.
He got out of there.
Right. You got out.
And 5150, I don't talk about 5150.
Yeah, I always like the fact though that Roth went and rocked the fucking thing out, man. He came out with a smile and just said, "Fuck you, Eddie Van Halen."
Well, look at the band he had: Billy Sheehan, Craig Bissonette, fucking Steve Vai. Duh.
Yeah, I would. I would probably fuck Steve Vai. Yeah. Anyways, Steve
Vai. He's a great looking chick. From Long Island.
Well, with Steve Vai, like my three favorite like guitar players it's always been like Ace Frehley, Steve Vai, and Zakk Wylde, and not in any kind of order, just
Ace Frehley. The thing about Ace Frehley that really pisses me off is first of all, Tommy Thayer, you are not Ace Frehley. Develop your own makeup, first of all.
Agreed.
Now, with Eric Singer, it's kind of a rock and a hard place for me, and I'll tell you why. Now, Eric Carr, yes, he was the Fox. Vinnie Crusano, he was the Sphinx. And he's also the most self-destructive person to ever be in that band.
Yeah. Even
more than Frehley.
Yeah, way more.
But the thing I noticed, though, with Singer, before he came back to Kiss and Makeup, he put out two of the best albums that Kiss ever put out in the non-makeup years, and that was Revenge and Carnival of Souls.
I agree again.
So he's got street cred.
No, you're not supposed to agree on everything, Guido.
No, I do agree.
No, but he's got street cred there.
This is all, to be honest with you, Alan.
I was just pissed off. The only thing I was pissed off about Revenge was how Paul and Gene were sitting there saying, "Oh, we found this demo with Eric Carr in it and blah, blah, blah. And we just took off the old guitar and put Bruce's guitar on." Oh, you mean what was going to be Breakout 2, you fucking lying asshole?
Right.
I give hands up for, you know what, those guys fucking lie with the tide. One minute they love having Peter and Ace back, the next minute they're bad-mouthing him. I'm sorry. Gene Simmons has a bigger credibility problem than somebody at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Well, Guido is just in a way because this is the first time that Kiss has been brought up on our show in about 3 weeks now. So, usually
because the rumor mill was going around on Facebook and everything and social media that Ace was supposed to go back, but even Ace said, no.
No, that ain't happening. I don't think it's going to happen. There's just too much there. There's just too much there.
Well, it's not just too much there. Here's the thing. People forget because it really wasn't publicized that much. But people forget when he left, he said, no, this is supposed to be the farewell tour. I'm going to do a studio record. I'm going to relax because, he finalized his divorce and he'd been dating this chick since Kiss got back together. And he wanted to do some stuff with her. And, Monique, his daughter just graduated from art school or something, so he wanted to spend time with her. And she was handling all of his Ace Frehley's Comet affairs. And, he just wanted, you said this was the final. And then, of course, Gene and Paul got greedy and realized, they're this close to becoming billionaires. And, said, no, we're going to keep it going. And he's like, well, you're going to do it without me. And by the way, you still owe me $3 million. Where the fuck is that?
Well, yeah. Well, money, it's always about money, though, isn't it, Alan? I mean, to be honest.
You know what's funny is, for me, and originally, no, it wasn't. Money was the good, was the bonus. And so were the girls and all the other fun, let's face it. I'm sorry, but when somebody says, oh, I'm only in it for the music. Okay, listen. That's a given. We're musicians, dumbass.
Don't lie to me.
Okay, you're also in it because you just bought yourself a brand new fucking Lambo. You got a fucking $10,000 Rolex around your wrist. You got a guitar company adorning you with as many guitars as you want. Let's not bullshit each other.
Yeah. The bonuses are much better than just the money by itself. If you had the money by itself, would you do it?
What's funny is nowadays I think I would because of all the money that I lost. Because it's funny, I'm actually quoting MC Hammer, but he always said, "If you're not watching your money, watch out."
Well, yeah.
And that's what happened to me in the 90s, man. I wasn't watching my money. I wasn't watching a lot of stuff. I was trusting the wrong people. I was trusting a person who I grew up with since elementary school, and I always thought he had my back. And come to find out, when I thought I was coming home and I had X amount of dollars in the bank, I didn't. And he goes and lays it down onto me like, well, because we had this and we had to pay for this and we had to pay for this. I'm like, I thought the record company was paying for that. No, we had to pay for that. I'm like, I didn't hire these guys. The record company hired these guys. Why aren't they paying them? Why should I have to pay for somebody that I never approved hiring? Well, guess what? You're fired. The record company is going to get a very nasty, nasty response from me because I am this close to losing my fucking home that I bought from my parents.
Yeah. That's life, though, in music, isn't it? I mean, seriously. I mean, you got to...
Well, people don't realize. That's the thing. People don't realize there is a business side to music, the music business. That's why it's called the music business.
That's why it's called the music business. And you're damn right. It's in it for the money. But if the poor slob is working at Home Depot and going out on weekend gigs every weekend and has his own music, and the music is on Amazon or Spotify or someplace where you have to buy it.
He's actually making more money. I'll tell you one thing right now. Here's a good part about that, though.
Okay.
And that goes for me, too. I'm making more money with Reverb Nation and when I work with this deal with iTunes and Spotify and CD Baby than I ever would on a national label, because national labels, points are only 8 cents a point.
Right.
And out of that 8 cents a point, you've got to pay your band. Your manager gets 15%. Your agent gets 10%. You have to pay attorney's fees. You have to pay this. You have to pay your taxes. Every time you have to copyright your songs.
Are you guys out there? Are these guys out there listening? I hope so. If y'all are listening to this, take a deep listen to this. If you want to be
it's not just me.
In today's music, and that's the way it is today, Alan.
Today's music. Let me tell you about today's music. That it's kind of a bitter pill to some of us guys who came up in the late '80s and early '90s. Is because when I came up, I was only 16, 15 or 16 at the time, and let me tell you, compared to now, it was cool seeing, like Eddie Trunk. He always says, "Oh, I like seeing CDs and something tangible that I can hold." But unfortunately, the music business, in order for all you independent and all of us independents, including me, now, all of us independent musicians, to get our music out there, to market our music, to sell our music, so we can afford enough money to start going on tour and playing out again, to be with you people, and to sell you the T-shirts and the bumper stickers and all the great swag or whatever, and to keep our guitar endorsements and stuff like that. The thing is now, you don't see record companies pumping out as many CDs as they used to and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
You see all of us artists going out and putting it out ourselves, because that way there's more pie for us now.
Right, there's no middleman.
And like you said, that kid that's busting his ass at Home Depot or working at Guitar Center during the week and then gigging during the weekends, that is awesome for him, because you know what? He's keeping more money for him and his band now, and you don't got some greedy, cock-sucking music exec saying, "Nope, I give you 8 points and I take 90 points." You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Well, you just a little while ago, you alluded to it when you were 15 or 16, okay? When you were 15 or 16, who were you listening to?
Who was I listening to?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, my biggest influence, believe it or not, guitar-wise, was Frank Gambale, Al Di Meola, Frank Marino, Pat Marino, who was a jazz player, Joe Pass, a lot of jazz players. That's why a lot of metal guitar players. Look at Alex Skolnick. He's more of a jazz guy. That's why he can fly on the fretboard. Alex Skolnick, a testament, and Eric Peterson, a testament. Obviously, KK Downing and Glenn Tipton, because I have a poster of them framed over my bedroom, over my bed. I'm a diehard. I was very sad when KK Downing retired. I love Dave Murray and Adrian Smith, obviously, of Iron Maiden. Love, and always will love John Sykes. Tigers of Pantang, Sing Lizzy, Blue Murder, White Snake. And that's another thing, too. I used to have to smack my friends in the head back in 87. They thought Vivian Cannibal and that hack Adrian Vandenberg actually played on that record. I said, no, that was all John Sykes, including some of the vocals.
Including some of the vocals, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So where did you grow up again? Whereabouts?
I was born and raised in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's a very cool seaside city in New Hampshire, off the Atlantic, where most of the lobsters come from. Not from Maine, folks. And well, then mainly Maine and Massachusetts now, because all the lobsters going towards Nova Scotia and Maine now are getting too small.
They're getting too
They
small.
have to go farther out to get the lobsters now, unfortunately.
That's why it's so much more dangerous than it used to be. They've made it
Yeah,
dangerous for themselves because they go further out and they're further away.
Well,
from
the thing that pisses me off is the American fisheries are screwing over the American fishermen because they're allowing all these international fishing boats to come in here with impunity.
And just
they're
fish
the
us
ones
out.
fishing the waters out. Yeah, they're the ones fishing the waters out, not the Americans. The Americans are playing by the friggin' rules.
Well, we always do. It's just like the pollution thing. We always play it, but if you
Yep.
go to Hong Kong, you're liable to. I would never.
Oh,
I
hell
don't,
no.
If
You're
I lived
lucky
in,
you can breathe when you get out of the taxi.
If I lived in like Hong Kong or downtown, what's the name of their capital? If I lived
Beijing.
Beijing, yeah, that's the one.
Been there 5 times. I love that place.
It's probably a beautiful place, man. And I'm not knocking the Chinese. I'm just saying the pollution is just horrid. I'd be dead by now, dude. I'd be totally dead.
There's because a lot of Chinese. It's funny because the Chinese are one of the most healthiest, race of people for the longest time.
Cleanliness,
but,
anyways.
The thing is ever since the 80s, like you said, there's no corporate China like corporate America runs the country.
That's it.
Right.
The Chinese are communists when it suits them, and they're capitalists when it suits them.
Right. And when they got a taste
That's
of money,
weird thing about China.
half
the
of
money
it,
fuels.
the money fuels the government, and the government now knows how to use it.
we owe them $7 trillion. They can, that's why they look at us and go, "Hey, you owe us money. Shut up."
Shut up. That's why we get smacked around. So we never get political on here. We very
well. Neither do I. That's the thing is the thing that irks me. The thing that irks me.
But now, as far as music is concerned, a lot of bands are getting gigs over in China.
Yes, because they pay well.
They do.
You know who also pays well? You know who really pays well? My father. When I told my father one year, because he did 4 tours in Vietnam, and when I told him I was playing in the People's Republic of Vietnam, and I was playing in Ho Chi Minh City, which was becoming Saigon again, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you know how many great guitar luthiers are coming from Vietnam that are building beautiful guitars from Vietnam? Hell, even Music Man had LLP, and Sterlings are being made in Vietnam. That's how great they are there. And he's like, you're playing in Vietnam? How the hell is that possible? Blah, blah, blah. They're all copies. I'm like, Dad, that was a long time ago. They want some of that Chinese money. They want some of that Malaysian and Japanese money.
Yeah, they do.
They just want money. They don't give a fuck about political views
or where it comes from. And you know what? We were totally wrong. We were totally wrong about the so-called communist menace when it comes to Vietnam. We were so wrong. I know there's poverty there, and I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of downtrodden. Well, maybe they need to get up off their ass. I don't know what it is, but it wasn't so bad after they took over. It wasn't. As far as I know. And I know that they've been removed off of all those human rights lists, so they've been doing much better when it comes to human rights.
Well, the thing is that if you look at trade with the Vietnamese people, like I said, if you go on eBay too, go on eBay and look at some of the guitar parts and some of the fretboards and fingerboards that the luthiers are making in Vietnam. They're beautiful.
Oh, they were great imitators. They're awesome. Just like in the Philippines, when I went to the Philippines, it was like all the bands knew all the music. And of course, I was growing up. I was still young.
Like that too. You know, it was like that too. Believe it or not, and this is another thing. I mean, first of all, not to sound political, don't build a wall because you know what? It's the only place, Mexico's the only place where you can get real Coca-Cola made with sugar.
Yeah.
And all the real soft drinks in Mexico, like stone glass bottles that we get here in Florida, are all made in
And
Mexico.
they don't leave an
awesome.
aftertaste. It doesn't leave an aftertaste like what we get.
And you know what I'm saying? Anybody, the further south in Central and South America you go, hell, just look at Iron Maiden. I mean, they just love metal. A mutual friend of ours, Lord Malingus from Guatemala City.
Yeah, you can't get a gig here in the U.S. Dude, you can't get a gig here in the U.S. You got to go to Europe. You got to go to Mexico. You got to go to
Canada's
Colombia.
Pretty cool, too, to play.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
You go to China and get these big fucking venues.
Sweden.
In
Cruise ships.
These big fucking venues that are in Europe and shit like that. I mean,
but that's the thing, though. Norway. I'm glad you mentioned Norway and Sweden, though. I'm glad you mentioned Norway and Sweden. I'll tell you why. Because those guys,
they know how to party.
If you're a fucking metal band, you say you're true metal. You say, oh, we're number one metal. We are brutal. Yeah. Yeah. Go to Norway, go to Finland, go to Switzerland, go to Sweden, go to Holland, and go to Denmark. Because you know what? If you can hang there, then you are true metal. And same with Germany, because they see through the fake bands. Bon Jovi will get his ass kicked when he gets there. But Iron Maiden,
Right. No,
first of all, that's another thing I used to hate about the 80s. Oh, Bon Jovi's metal. Really?
Yeah.
What? You really want your jaw broken today, don't you, dude?
Right.
Well,
it's like
but the '80s is where the metal scene, blossomed too, with bands like Anthrax and Metal.
That's metal, but all these guys calling it. It's like no, there's no such thing as hair metal. It's don't get me wrong. Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Poison, and Motley Crue are all great hard rock bands.
Sure.
They're all great rock bands, but you know what? They are not metal. And even what's funny is even Joe Elliott's like, no, we're not metal. We're a good pop rock band. Shut up.
Right? Yeah, and they never were.
It's like grunge. It's like grunge and hair metal. You guys only, not you, but the mainstream radio media and the record companies and MTV had to categorize it so they could sell it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, and that was, it was more hardcore for you to say you listen to metal and it was actually, Cinderella or Bon Jovi, then it would, be more acceptable than to say you were listening to Anthrax or, Megadeth.
Cannibal Corpse.
All that suicidal tendencies.
Manowar.
So many hardcore bands that came from the 80s that got pushed.
Oh, yeah. Well, Manowar was in the Guinness Book of World Records.
They were for what?
The loudest band. They were the loudest band ever recorded.
I remember that.
But they got kicked out. They got kicked out by Lemmy and Motorhead. And even Lemmy will say, "I'm not metal."
Yeah. Stump the Guido. Stump the Guido. Yeah. Wait a minute. Stop the presses. Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Get the applause.
It happens. It happens.
Applause. He stumped the Guido. Okay.
Anyway,
the thing is, but that's the thing too, though. It's funny, and then the person that you actually call the hardest or the godfather of metal goes, "I'm not metal. We're a rock and roll band. We are Motorhead."
Yeah, I've never considered that same thing. Like metal for me, always it started with early Judas Priest and then into Iron Maiden, even early Metallica and Anthrax.
What's funny? It's funny, that's the way it started with me, but my Uncle Mickey would be like, no, true metal started with the MC5 and started with Sabbath.
Yeah, and it also started with Boys to Cult. Early Boys to Cult, man. Oh,
yeah. Oh, no. You got a point.
Yeah, they fucking...
You got a point.
There is a beginning of metal too in the late '60s, and without a doubt, Black Sabbath, if may not have been the first ones, but they were the first known ones. Okay.
Well, it's funny how everybody says, "Oh, Jimi Hendrix was the first shred guitar player." I'm like, no, he wasn't. Les Paul was.
Right.
Les Paul, Chet Atkins, Roy Clark.
Yeah. Well, even a lot of the people that did the chicken picking, man, those guys were.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
they were phenomenal. and people.
Well, people didn't realize the guy who played Handyman Negri and stuff like that on Mr. Rogers, Joe Negri. People don't realize he's an accomplished jazz player.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, they were all
very famous one.
You listen to Les Paul, and you'd be, and there was people back in the '50s doing finger tapping before Eddie Van Halen even knew what the hell it was.
Well, yeah. One of the biggest ones was. Oh man, he's on the tip of my tongue too. Joe Pass.
Joe
Pass.
And it was great, and nobody but Eddie Van Halen probably heard that, and yeah, he made it his own, but he's not the inventor of the finger tap at all.
Well, the thing is like Ace Frehley, when he does his tapping, he doesn't use his fingers; he uses his pick.
He uses his pick, right?
And he was doing that. He was doing that in '73. So.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what he attracted to me about was his difference. He wasn't that good, but his sound was different.
You know what the thing about Ace Frehley that always made me laugh? I always loved him to death, because I was introduced to Kiss by my Uncle Mickey. Kiss and Greg Chiafria's first band, Angel.
Okay.
Yeah, band. Great band. Yep.
Yeah, it was a great band. It was an underrated band too. They said, it was the non-makeup version of Kiss.
They had a hard time getting
Punky Meadows, right?
Yeah, Punky Meadows.
Yeah.
Awesome band. I've been trying to get him on our show. If you got any ins for him, let me know so I can get in there and knock on his door and get him on our show.
I was going to say, if you got any ins for Greg Giuffria, I haven't talked to Greg Giuffria in like 20 years.
Really? Yeah, shit.
Yeah, I met him the last 20 years ago on a Winter Knob show. I bumped into him. He's walking around, just checking the new stuff.
Well, they've been doing
new keyboards from Akai and stuff.
They've been
traveling. Did he have his hair?
I think they all play in Vegas now. Most of those guys are playing in Slaughter. All the guys in Slaughter are playing in Vegas on a regular basis.
Yeah, and the Who is playing a week in Vegas.
Yeah, they're doing 2 shows a week, 2 shows a day.
They're going to stop calling that the Who. There's only 2 members still alive. Stop calling it the fucking Who.
Right.
It's like Pink Floyd. It's like, no, we're old people who need the money.
What?
That's our band.
They call the what? How about call them the what?
Townsend and Daltrey,
TD.
Yeah. I always give Pete Townsend top billing.
You can't give put Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr together and call it the Beatles.
No, you definitely cannot. No, you cannot. Even if you bring in one of the sons of John Lennon and George Harrison.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is everybody sits there and they bow. They bow to John Lennon. But you know what? Personally, I think the better songwriter was George Harrison.
I think so too. I'm a big George Harrison fan. George Harrison left their atmosphere.
Well, that's why they called him the quiet Beatle, because
they kept him quiet.
I think he was just happy to still be in that band for so long.
He had so
even
much
when they were
music
destroying each other.
Yeah, he had so much music in him.
Do you know that everything on his first solo album, All Things Must Pass, were songs that were rejected by the Beatles?
Yep.
Yeah.
Including All Things Must Pass.
It's funny. Not many people have that. It's funny is because I remember reading that article, because that article was my Uncle Mickey, because he was my manager for a long time. He slid me that article. He says, this is the article, because him and I are exactly 10 years apart. And, he was class of 79, I was class of 89, same high school and everything.
Cool.
And, typical Paisan neighborhood. So he walks up to me and he goes, yeah, you got to read this article, because he knew I like John because George Harrison's record just came out. The one with, I Got My Mind Set on You. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Cloud 9.
Cloud 9, yeah. And back when we were Fab, which was actually a cool song.
Yeah.
And I just remember him. I'm reading this article. I think it was either in Spin Magazine or Musician Magazine. I know it wasn't in Guitar World, because Guitar World was like my monthly Bible. And so was Guitar Player, because Guitar Player taught you all the cool arpeggios.
Right.
But I remember reading that article and him saying that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, but just in that article alone, he buried John Lennon.
Oh yeah,
and they were afraid of his ability. Lennon and McCartney, it was a business like everything else. They realized, shit, if George's songs get in there, we get less money. And They stifled him out. One song per
Yeah,
album.
well, Karma kicked Paul in the ass, didn't it, with Michael Jackson?
Yeah,
so.
it sure did.
Oh, sure.
It sure did.
Oh.
But George Harrison was definitely my favorite out of all of the Beatles. And I think,
yeah, even in the 70s, like, I'm not that against Paul McCartney because I'm a big Paul McCartney fan, but I'm a big fan of Paul McCartney because he's like a pop type person. His 70s output was popular, but George Harrison's was more
adult contemporary.
Yeah,
it was
him.
adult contemporary.
Yeah.
It definitely was.
Well, the thing too is I noticed about that. You know how like all the Beatles, they talk about Yoko Ono being the destroyer of the Beatles.
No. George Harrison.
Linda McCartney was just as bad.
Yeah, she was a cunt.
Come on,
Yeah.
she really grew into that whole wings thing, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. You can do this without them. You can do this without them. You don't need them.
It was been proven.
Yep.
I could hear it now. I'm in the room. I'm the fly on the fucking wall that heard her say that one day. You really don't need these fuckers. And he was going to do Uncle Albert. And she said, do it by yourself and see what happens. And boom, Uncle Albert took off. And that's what happened to Paul McCartney.
But
The
thing what happened with the Beatles is it was dissolved before that. Paul McCartney sued to have it dissolved. And Paul McCartney and John Lennon got too big of egos. They both thought they were the better writer.
You can't do it without me.
Right. And that's what it all was about. And the women that they chose fed their egos.
Yeah, but the thing is, but you want to know why Paul McCartney was also more successful than John?
Why is that?
John's ego became, and his extreme liberal views at a time when those liberal views,
they were out of the mainstream.
And the thing is Paul McCartney kept his political views to himself, kept his mouth shut.
Right, exactly.
That's why he excelled further.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I
always
said
Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley used to say, "I'm just an entertainer. Don't think what I'm going to say is the word of God, because it's not."
And I respect people with Paul McCartney more for that because, if I'm a young, impressionable kid and I see John Lennon being liberal, ranting, raving that way, I might lean that way when I don't really want to be that way. You
mean like Bruce Springsteen?
Right.
Well, he fucking changed. His music used to be so fucking conservative. His music was extremely conservative for the day. I mean, hometown.
You know why? Because now he's like, him and John Mellencamp are both the same way. Now we're so rich we'll never be broke. So let's be liberal now.
So let's be liberal now. Now we'll cast onto you what we think is right. Fuck you. I know what's right.
Same with Madonna. Madonna's a fucking joke. Madonna's just trying to be relevant again.
Oh,
that's
she's never
going
to be.
She'll never be relevant again.
And she ruined it for herself because, the
keep
first thing.
Mouth shut.
Right. Most conservatives are the record buyer still and the money.
These liberals, man.
Well, a lot of my friends who are extremely liberal and still in the entertainment industry, be it acting, music, art, whatever. I'm like, you guys are sitting there saying all this shit. Fine, practice what you preach. Hey, it's a free country and the First Amendment's a beautiful thing. But we're all conservative come April 15th when they know the tax man wants to take a couple $100,000 out of my back pocket.
Yeah, we're all conservative then.
Let's not fool one another, okay?
Yeah, and you know why? And a lot of this stuff goes back to Hollywood because Hollywood makes it difficult for conservative people to, and I'm not going to say Republican because there's such a thing as a non-Republican conservative, and there's plenty of us out there, and I don't declare to be Republican, but at the same time,
I'm the first one to tell you I'm a moderate independent. So
I just can't, I just can't see it anymore, man. I'm tired of footing the bill for other people, and I'm done with it. But that's not the point. The point is in the music industry and in Hollywood, it's difficult for someone with conservative views to speak their mind and to cause some to even lie about their political beliefs.
You mean like Martin Sheen? I swear to God, in his head,
he's a lying motherfucker. Don't tell me he's not a liar.
Well, the thing about Martin Sheen is he acts like he used to be a president. Like, on TV, nuts.
He's more like his son. He's more like his son that he wants people to know. I guarantee you that, man.
Oh, he was snorting coke off a chick's ass
before
Charlie even knew what his penis was used for.
Charlie
that's
walked
where Charlie
in on
came
him.
from.
Yeah, Charlie walked
Exactly.
in on
Yeah,
him.
you fucking guarantee that. You know what's funny is the Sheen brother that doesn't get the credit, who's actually cool, was Emilio Estevez.
Right. Yeah.
So Viva St. Elmo, you know?
Yeah.
Viva
Right.
St. Elmo.
Yeah, right. He was a Mighty Duck too.
Yes, he was. He was a Mighty Ducks. He actually started the Mighty Ducks.
He did.
Yeah,
and my
he did.
favorite movie has both of them in there. The Young Guns. Love that movie.
Love that movie.
No, actually, what was that other one they were in where they both played a garbage? They were brothers and they were garbage men.
And
What was the name of that pile of shit?
Yeah.
That movie. Oh my god. That was the epitome of
Men
suckdom.
at Work. I think it was Men Work or Men at Work or something like
Men
that.
at Work.
Men at Work. Yeah, Men at Work.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Men at Work.
You-
Funny. God damn.
You know what's funny is when I was on the road recently, finishing off the Guitarology tour. Because it's hard to believe that I put that record out a year ago already. Yeah, it's already been a year since Guitarology played.
Now, you said earlier you've got something in the works. What's the name of the band, and when can we expect a release from you, Jen?
Well, the cost of Death thing you can expect to release hopefully in the summer. It's almost done. The name of the band is Cost of Death, COD.
Okay.
I know, Todd, you've already seen the artwork on my music page on Facebook.
Yep. Check
This
it
is a
out.
closed
Check
group.
it out. Check it out. Yep.
And the thing is it's taken so long because you've got three guys who have three different bands doing three different things, and me, I took a break from 2011 till, 11, 12, 13, 14. So yeah, till 2015, I took like 4 years off. And cause I needed to, cause if you look at my discography, I was putting album after album after album out. And then 2011, I said, you know what, I'm going to put out in 1991 and 2011, all my solo stuff. And I'm just going to walk away for a while.
Okay.
Because I wasn't feeling, I know it's going to sound stupid, but I wasn't feeling the love musically, man. I wasn't feeling like I wanted to do it anymore because the music industry had changed so much from 2000 to 2011.
Right.
It was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And
changed.
I was seeing guys who were at one time bigger than I could ever dream of being, and now, they're opening up for me.
Right.
I'm like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah. What did these guys open?
Well, we're all playing festivals just to pay the bills.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that the music industry's changed. Sometimes, in some ways for the better, but then again, it makes it harder too with the internet. Don't you agree? I mean, because sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes you want that corporate backing because that corporate backing is what gets you into places like the Budokan. Right.
It gets you into like a Radio City Music Hall, or it gets you into like a good festival like Monsters of Rock. Actually, or it's not called Donington anymore. It's called Download. That's gets you into stuff like that. It gets you into opening up for Iron Maiden and stuff. So yeah, there's you take the good with the bad, but sometimes you're right. There's more bad than there is good because now you don't have the RCAs and the Enigmas and the Mercury Polydors and the Atlantic Records and their subsidiaries like Megaforce and then Warner Brothers subsidiary Metal Blade. You don't have those guys backing you up the way they used to in the 80s and the 90s. And yeah, it's hard to get your CDs sold. It's hard to get
90% of today's music is self-promoted.
Yes, it is.
It is, or it's like CMC International, who's doing the older bands like Air Supply and shit like that, and they're still making money from doing that. I mean,
we're not
no, the guys. The guys that are really making the deal from those aren't the band. When I met George Lynch for the first time, George Lynch and I were sitting down. This is over in Arizona, and he was telling me, he taught me a lot more about the business than I even wanted to know, and I'm glad he did. He says, yeah, a lot of bands, including Dokken, did what they call masters deals, where they sold their masters for a gigantic lump sum of money. And he did that also with Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
Because he didn't see any money from the Dawkins stuff, even though he wrote one of those songs. Don Dawkins swirled out all the money. Don Dawkins is a shitbag. But he also can't sing worth a fuck. That's why I'm glad I didn't go to that thing in South Dakota. I'm glad I didn't go to that full reunion because I saw it on YouTube. His voice is shot.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad.
But yeah, I guess they a lot of these old bands would sign these masters deals for big lump sums of money. Problem is that's why you see like in Target and Walmart, those albums with the bands on them, and an old album cover, those old, in silver, sleeving. That's what they do with them. That's why you see them in like truck stops everywhere.
Right.
So those guys are making the money, not the bands.
Right. They're done. Yeah.
Yeah, their royalties ended. Some of their royalties ended 20 years ago.
Right. And that was a big thing in the 80s was to do that. And like you said, same thing with the, when Michael Jackson screwed Paul McCartney.
Publishing is a beautiful thing.
All of a sudden, he had Beatles songs in every commercial on television and movies.
Oh, yeah.
The Who said in an interview they made more money off you. There are 3 songs on the CSI programs than they did off any of their albums.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, the Who? Oh, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, another one, too. You know what's funny is?
What's the Who?
It's hilarious because, it's like with me, that's one of the things I'm glad I was smart about. Anything to do with me or any band I'm in, I make sure that when it comes to anything I write, I own the publishing. And all my solo stuff, with the exception of my first 2 solo records, Guitar Works and Apocalypse, everything else I own the masters to.
Oh, that's good.
Because the label I was signed to with those 2 records, that's why, the first one came out in 91, but the last one came out in 99, because I did owe them a record. That's why I didn't put it out until 99, because it was a 10-year, 2-album contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait till 2000 because I got signed in 1990. And I just waited for the longest time. I was playing with other bands and doing other projects and doing studio sessions to pay the bills because I didn't want to give them that last record until absolutely necessary.
Right.
Because they fucked me over big.
That's their
mantra. That's their.
Well, the reason why is because, okay, all you kids in the music business right now, listen very carefully. If they offer you an advance, unless you absolutely, positively, unequivocally need an advance, do not take an advance, okay? Because it is not an advance; it is a non-interest loan. You will not see any royalties until that loan is paid back.
Oh yeah, that's all it
right.
is. Right,
and back in the day, they paid for your studio time, your promotion, everything, and it came off off of what you made.
Your record sales.
Oh, yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did. You didn't see any points until that shit was paid back. And the thing is, people don't realize, I see all these rappers, they get a $300,000 advance. They blow it all on stupid shit. And then they go, what are you going to use to record the album now? Oh, no. So now you're in debt because now you have to go back to your record company and get them to give you more money.
Yeah.
You're a moron.
Yeah.
You're a moron.
Instead of putting away some money for the tour that you're going to need to back that album up, you go ahead and go into the studio broke dick, and you can't go into the studio broke dick. You have to go in there with a little bit of cash in your pocket, knowing full well you got something to fall back on because they're going to rob you. You're going to get it later.
Oh yeah, well, it's funny.
Billy Idol said to the record companies when he left Decca, he told Decca, he says, "Okay, I'm glad I'm done with you now, and that you keep your enemies close." So I'm going to keep a close eye on you because you're for sure my enemy. And boy, I tell you after that, 3 of his releases were independent releases after that, with little production on it. So once he left them, that was all over. Well, listen, man, this has been a great. Can you stick around for just a little while longer? We're going to do a song coming up here.
Which song are you going to do?
I'm going to do another Taken. So we're going to do another.
Oh, nice.
Okay, we're going to do that.
Guitarology record. Nice. Do it up, brother.
Kick-ass. Okay, we're going to do that now. This is Conjugal Visits through kgfrocks.com, and this is a kick-ass song. You're going to dig it. Another Taken. We'll be right back with Allan.
Because that one is.
kgfrocks.com, and
Guess we're back.
you're listening to the Conjugal Visit, and that was Another Taken, Allan Davey. Great tune, man. I like that fucking song. That's a kick-ass song. I got a chance to listen to it while you two were yakking. So I got to listen to it again for the first time. That's awesome,
yeah, because Guido and I were talking gear.
Yeah, you're talking gear, and I ain't into all that.
There's a name for that. There's a name for that. When you talk about nothing but guitars, amps, pedals, and anything to do with guitar and Pro Tools, and anything to do with just guitar playing and making music, it's called being guitarded.
Guitarded. I get it.
Guitarded.
Because I don't know nothing about it.
We are guitarded.
I am guitarded. I am guitarded.
And actually, Guido and I were talking about Washburns because one of my biggest influences that a lot of people don't know was Howard Leese of Heart. And because I just loved that guy. Guy was an amazing guitar player. But it was funny because there was one Washburn that nobody liked. And it was funny. It was Ace Frehley's Washburn with the Wonder Bar on it. He only played it from one song, and he said after one song I had to grab my Les Pauls because it was like, what the fuck? You know, it was one of those, I did it for the money.
Oh, sure. The very first guitar I ever had in my hand was a 1968 Gibson SG, my dad's guitar.
Yeah, see, that's when it was, see, a 68, so yeah, that was an SG, because people don't realize from 1962 to 1966, they were actually called Les Pauls, folks. Right. And the reason why it was a Les Paul that long, because Les Paul was going through a big divorce with Mary Ford, and guess what? He didn't want her. If he had gone back to the old Les Paul, he would have paid her royalties.
Oh, yeah, he said, fuck that shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he did, too. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and
It was funny because the Mary Ford Les Paul Custom, which was a 3-pickup white SG, that thing was actually a very cool guitar.
Yeah, it was a cool guitar. Absolutely. It was. I remember. Like, can you remember the first guitar solo you ever heard that you liked the guitar? I'll tell you mine. And it was. I actually heard it in the '80s, but it was on a classic rock station, and it was Elliot Randall solo in "Reelin' in the Years" by Steely Dan.
Yeah.
And,
anything from fucking Steely Dan, and especially with Beckett, is awesome. I mean, come on. For me, though, my favorite all-time guitar solo that I always liked, that was just amazing to listen to, was, believe it or not, it wasn't a metal song, it wasn't a hard rock song. Believe it or not, it was Souls of Swing from Mark Knopfler.
Oh, really?
That was just fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, that's some good stuff there. Mark Knopfler never fucking learned how to end a song.
Right. But
he just went on and on. It just kept going on and on for fucking days.
He had such a wonderful tone, though.
He really did. He really had a one. I guess he liked.
But another cool guitar solo that I always liked, which people kind of chastise me about, but I've actually become friends with the guy now, so whatever, was the solo for Rosanna and Georgie Porgy from Toto, from Steve Lukather.
That's friggin'. That's all right. Toto, whatever, but that guy right there is one of the most amazing guitar players ever. He doesn't get enough credit, actually. And anything from Steve, because I still love that album, Tinseltown Rebellion, with Steve Vai and Frank Zappa. But anything from Frank Zappa, I love his guitar solos because they're the most esoteric, out of fucking your mind guitar solos.
Oh, out of bounds. Completely
out
of bounds.
Yeah, and same with anything from Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush.
If you got a chance, if you had a chance to listen to my show last Sunday or Sunday before last, I had Mothers of Invention on there, and it was awesome. It was just awesome. And matter of fact, had a listener come in and say, "Dude, I haven't heard that in like forever." But yeah, it's classic for sure.
Well, one of the best guitar solos ever for me is from Frank Zappa, and that's a little tiny solo he did in a song called Cosmic Debris.
Yep.
It's not the biggest, longest solo, but it fucking gets right to the point, and it grabs you, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent.
And, it was like that with his solos, too. It's funny. He was never complex, He wasn't like George Benson, who was just, all over the place and just sounded like clean and crisp. That's another thing. George Benson's as a songwriter, as a vocalist, as a guitar player, across the band, and I'm a metal guy saying this. George Benson's very underrated.
Very underrated.
But one of my favorite guitar players to listen to, and people don't realize this, is Lindsey Buckingham.
He's definitely accomplished and very different. Most people. Different, very different.
But his predecessor, Peter Green, holy shit.
He just got crazy, though. Everybody, it's funny because Jimmy Page, Gary Moore, and a few other people wound up with his Les Pauls. Right. Well,
now all his Les Pauls are selling for like $3. Actually, Joe Bonamassa just bought the one that Gary Moore owned.
Well, he played. Pete Green wrote "Black Magic Woman" that Santana was famous with. That many people don't know. And
Santana is overly fucking rated. Oh my god, your guitar tone. That's because you're still on fucking mescaline.
Yeah, why? You gotta say.
Neil Schon carried his ass.
Yeah, that's right. And the one thing about Santana is. They were awesome for 15 minutes, and that was in their first. That was in their first 2 albums, and then they
awesome
did.
Woodstock,
Then they did Woodstock. They did Woodstock.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the story about Woodstock?
They were on peyote that day.
Yeah, he was tripping balls, and he said he was holding on to his guitar so tight because he thought he was melting, and snakes were crawling all over him or some shit.
And I think that was his best fucking playing ever. Yeah. If you had to pick up a Santana performance, that would probably be the best one. You know what? If you look back at Woodstock, now that we're on it, a lot of people gave great performances. Jimi Hendrix fucking scorched it, okay? And then
Richie Havens. Fucking Richie Havens. Just
Richie Havens. See, that's another
door.
one. See, that's another guy. Richie Havens, okay? Here's a friggin' guy who just, if you look at him,
ugly motherfucker.
just looking at him, and you see him with his beat-up gills, he looks like some guy you'd be seeing playing in the Transit Authority. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or at on the corner with a box, man.
Yeah. And then you heard him, like you said. Like you said, he comes out looking like a tricked out bum, but he fucking, the thing is, to this day, you don't see Richie Havens having other celebrities play on his records so he can sell records. Carlos.
No. Yeah.
Right. If you need other people to play on your records to sell records,
then you aren't very good.
Then you need to look in the mirror and realize in your ego and your narcissism that you're not as good as you thought you were.
Right. Oh, then you get guys like Ronnie James Dio, and you get Iona from the Black Sabbath, and you get all the mixes together. I mean, what would be your from the '70s? And then now that we're on the you guys on the '70s, who would be your dream band? We're talking lead guitar, bass, drummer.
Oh, that's easy. Oh, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be shocked.
Okay, build a band. Okay.
For guitar, because I would have been too young, I would have been a little kid. If it wasn't my Uncle Mickey, it would have to be Tommy Bolin.
Oh, fucking amazing.
Fuck yeah.
On bass, I would have to give it to Jaco Pastorius.
Okay.
On drums, Carmine Appice.
Not bad.
As a singer / rhythm guitar player, oh shit. See, that's a tough one to fill because you don't want somebody with a major ego.
Right.
For keyboards, I would have to say, Greg Raleigh, definitely, from Journey.
Good choice. Good fucking choice. Yeah,
because he's also got a great fucking voice, too.
Yeah, he does. Sure. Yeah, he could do backup vocals for sure.
Yep. And then for guitars with vocals, you know what? Seeing that we're in the Bolin family, I'm going to have to go with Mark Bolin.
There you go. All right. I had a good one. I'll have to do mine now because since I'm just going to do 70s too. I would have to say, I'll go guitarist first. I want the two guitar sounds. So I would need, in my band, I would want Richie Blackmore. And
shit, no. Anyway.
Yeah, and as his co-lead, believe it or not, Mr. James Burton from the Elvis Presley Band.
Actually, all due respect, James Burton, I hate to tell you, but James Burton would smoke Blackmore.
Yeah, I know he would. That's why I put him together. And then I would go on bass. I would just pick. I love the bass, and in the '70s there was a lot of good funky bass players. And I always liked the funky stuff, so I would throw Bootsy Collins in my band, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just to give it some funk,
yeah.
And as far as the backbeat going with the drums, the 70s, again, were the underrated generation, and Mr. Tommy Aldridge came from Black Oak, Arkansas during that time. So I would take him.
Actually, it's funny you should mention him because who my drummer is in my solo band. It's funny.
I love him. And then as on the vocals.
My drummer is Craig Aldridge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's his
cousin.
Cousin, yeah. And as far as singing goes, the 70s singers for me is so impossible, but I would have to go with early 70s Ian Gillan.
Yes. Okay. The reason why I don't like Richie Blackmore, okay, here's the rock and roll Allan Davey story about Richie Blackmore. Okay, the first time I met him, I was 13 years old. And it was during the Perfect Strangers tour.
Okay.
They actually had some moment of clarity where they all got along.
Right.
Actually, they always got along, just not with Richie. And mainly Gillan and Richie. Those two hated each other.
Absolutely.
They still do. And I got to meet him in a meet and greet because my uncle knew people in a very, very paisan kind of way, wink, wink.
Yeah.
And I went to go have him sign something for me. I would never let anybody sign my guitars because I play my guitars.
Right.
Unless it was either Jimmy Page or John Sykes or Howard Leese, then there's exceptions to the rule. Or Robert Fripp. If it was Robert Fripp, I'd be like, Robert, you are my Christ, my Lord. But I can only see Robert Fripp playing King Crimson. Oh, by the way, he's teaching in Londonderry, New Hampshire. He's teaching in my home state now.
Oh, that's awesome. I
So,
take that class.
oh yeah, I've been trying to. There's already a list a mile long, and it's like $4,000.
Yeah.
But I'm going to invest the $4,000. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, so he's like, "Oh, you'll never amount to anything." Blah blah blah. You just keep dreaming, kid. Go away.
Wow.
Now I remember what Ronnie James Dio said of why he left Rainbow. He says, "I learned what not to do because of Richie, the way he treated his fans."
Right.
Okay, let's speed it up.
Yeah.
1989. I'm in Los Angeles. The first Winter Nom I ever went to. I just signed an endorsement with Jackson Guitars and just signed an endorsement with ADA Effects and Amps. He walks up to me, shakes my hand, he goes, "That was pretty good playing, kid, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yeah, not bad for a kid you said wouldn't amount to anything. Oh, by the way, fuck you, I'll smoke you any day of the week." And I walked right, I basically pulled a young Yngwie and walked away. And, it's,
Yeah,
but Yngwie, on the other hand, is a very cool guy. Yngwie is not an arrogant asshole. Yngwie, on the other hand, when I met him in the same day in '89, and he lives about 3 hours from me. He lives in Key Biscayne. And every time I bump into him, I tell you, he's always the coolest. And it's funny because his son Antonio is just as good as he is now.
Right.
Hey,
His son Antonio's got a very good band.
Sweet.
A very good band. But the thing is it's funny how 6 degrees of separation can be as close as you think, because, you know, everybody who's ever played and sang for Rainbow, with the exception of, well, actually, no, Dio too,
Right.
have all worked with Yngwie. And they all said the same thing. I'd rather work with Yngwie than work with Blackmore.
Right.
But the funny thing is Joe and Turner. That's another one we forgot about the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or Steve Perry.
Steve
Perry is the man. I can't put him in any band because he's just above the class.
Yeah, you can go with that. I'll go. No. I can go with that. That's valid.
He's got a voice that nobody else ever will have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, another one did too? Ray Gillen from Badlands.
Yes. Yeah, that great band. I mean, that Badlands with Eric Singer and Jake Healy. Why the hell weren't they famous?
You know what's funny is? I'll tell you why. For the same reason why when a friend of mine's band, Hank Deccan's band, Nevada Beach, got signed. The reason why they didn't succeed is the same reason why Badlands didn't succeed, because at the same time, these bands that you and I would see playing colleges when we were kids, like Soundgarden, Nirvana,
Right.
Before Pearl Jam, Temple of the Dog, which was a better band anyway.
Right.
So was Mother Love Bone.
Absolutely.
But, you'd see all these bands. You'd see Danzig. Danzig, to me, when Glenn Danzig put out the first record in '88, I was like, dude, this is awesome. Because I was a diehard Sam Hain Misfits fan. So, and come on, he had Eerie Von and fucking John Christ in his band. Come on.
Oh, great! It was a great band. Freaking
yes, it was.
And he looked like a beast, man. I'm like, where did he get muscle? Like he was like
come on, the juice was loose.
Yeah. He just like exploded,
That was before creatine, man. That was whoa, dude. That was all anabolic. It had to be, because he was not that big in Sam Hain. He definitely wasn't that big in the Misfits.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's like, but that's the thing. All those bands, people go, the 90s, they gave us Nirvana. Hey, asshole, those guys, Nirvana came out with Bleach in '86.
Yep.
Okay, and then they re-released it in '88. Okay, and Soundgarden was out then too and stuff. Because I was listening to college radio in the city that I lived in, and I used to hang around because we used to play colleges all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was our main thing because we were too young to play in bars yet and play in big clubs.
Right.
So we play a lot of college gigs, which made us a lot of money. And I used to hang out with all the college radio guys, and I thought these guys were the coolest of the cool. Not to mention, I was doing massive amounts of coke and massive amounts of weed and massive amounts of coke. And, hey, for a long time, I'm like, I thought it was normal to do coke off of chicks' asses.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, it's like those guys were out before that.
Right?
It's the 80s.
What the hell?
Oh, man.
It was rampant.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm sorry. The thing with me is because I got clean in 89, at the end of 89. Because my agent, Raji Patel, and my manager, my Uncle Mickey, looked at me and looked at me, and they looked at Ian, and they looked at Jeremy, and they said, listen, you guys got to get clean or you're going to be dead within a matter of 6 months. We were that bad. And there was no doubt about it. I mean, come on. You give a bunch of young kids free reign, doing what they love to do. Yeah. You're giving them money. Yeah, I never had to pay for drugs in my life. It was always given to me. Right. You're banging your brains out. You're getting free guitars, free this, and it does. It puts a spell on your mind. It really does.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
it fucks with you.
Worst, man.
Well,
Cocaine
Oh yeah. Somebody asked me that though. Somebody asked me, what was it like? Because they'd never done coke. They go, what was it like doing coke? I said, when I first did it, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But greatest thing in the world.
After about a year of doing it,
keep chasing it.
Yeah, because when you're high, you feel like you're invincible. You're the king of the world, and you're immortal. Yeah. And then when you're coming down, you're the loneliest person in the world.
And on top of that,
you're just the loneliest person.
Later on, you start to try to reach for that same high again, and you never get it. You never get there, man. You never get to that high again.
What I find amazing about it is I was one of those college radio geeks like that, and I did the shows and all that, and I did all the stuff that went with it. You always had friends when the supply was up, and then the supply's gone, no friends.
Friends, yeah.
Yep. Came with money too, by the way.
As you were talking about the college radio scene, you're absolutely right. The college radio scene pushed the grunge music scene.
And that's the thing. It's like it's pretty bad that the '90s. It's pretty bad that the '90s and the grunge scene put out a person that all of us already knew and loved, and was great in the '60s and was great in the '70s. That was fucking Neil Young.
Right.
You hear this new guy, Neil Young? What do you mean, new guy? He's been around since fucking '67. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like,
but you know what? Neil Young's one of my favorite artists of all time. You listen to his stuff in the '60s and '70s; it's fucking amazing. You go to the from '80 to '88, it's like, what the fuck happened to you, dude? And then in '89,
but this note's for you. But that song, "This Note's for You," actually because it explained corporate America and the music business at the time to a T.
He's always been a rebel, man. He's always been he'll always be a rebel.
But he came out in '89 would Keep on Rocking in the Free World, and everybody thought he was a young fucking like.
Well, that was to make fun of George Bush. That was making fun. Yeah, that was to fucking that cursed him. That told George Bush, "You're not what it seems. You're not what you seem." And that's what that was all about.
But then again, the thing is, here's my stance on that. My stance on that is the same thing it was back when I started to vote at the age of 18 and to present day. My stance has never changed. Okay? The left wing and the right wing need to stop bitching at each other and realize the left wing and the right wing are both a part of the same fucking bird.
Right.
And they need to get their heads out of their asses and fucking realize that. That's why I always tell people, you know what?
We're in a bad
spot. You want to change the status quo. The only way you're going to change the status quo is you got to show both the blue and both the red that, hey, I'm sick of listening to your bullshit anymore.
We're the white
in the middle. You can't sell me anymore. Yeah.
But the reason that's never going to happen is because
the middle always has to choose when they're running for a big office like the president. The only way they know they're going to get that and get the money that they need to become president is either be red or be blue. You can't be green anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, not only that, the blue wants to make
race-wise.
The blue believes in open borders. Right.
They're going to take me literally. They're going to take me. I can
Yeah.
see it fucking coming. I should have never said it. I should have never fucking said it. They're going to take me literally.
Yep.
No, I didn't mean that white folks. I meant we're the white part of the flag. There's the red part of the flag, which is the right wing, and then there's the blue side, which is the left wing. We're in the middle. We're the white in the red, white, and blue. And we're in the center.
But the thing is, that's why I said green, because you're right.
Yeah,
because there's going to be some red card.
There's going to be somebody out there saying he said he's a racist. No, I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
I include everyone in my world. The sky in my world is blue.
Yeah, it's like when they start saying. It's like when they started saying. It's like one time somebody said, oh, well, he beat him up because, it's a hate crime. I said, no, he beat him up because he was an asshole. Had nothing to do with the skin color of his skin. He walked up to him and spit at his girlfriend. Okay, he's going to use it to his advantage and say it was a hate crime. Yeah, but all of us witnesses are going to say no, he accosted him.
Right, but do you know what the best political campaign ever was? The best slogan in all the history of policies or political was "Grab her by the pussy."
Grab her by the pussy.
Yeah, that was funny.
I think as soon as Trump had the grab her by the pussy, man,
that was it.
Well, you know what the thing that really pissed me off too was when they were having it, because down here in Florida they were having this big bullshit thing about the Confederate flag and about General Robert E. Lee. And I said, obviously you didn't graduate high school, or you didn't really pay attention to history.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean? So, because if you did, Robert E. Lee was pro-education and started the first university in Virginia.
Yeah.
Second of all, Robert E. Lee, when he married his wife and his wife inherited all these slaves in his plantation, he told her to free every one of those people, every one of those slaves, because he was not only anti-slave, he was anti-secession from the Union.
Yeah, right. He didn't want to do it. But once it happened, it happened. There was nothing he could do. He had to serve his state.
Well, he was loyal to his state. He was loyal
to his state. He also fought in the Mexican-American War. A lot of people don't realize that. So he was a patriot.
Yep.
He fought for his country.
I'd fight the
Mexican. And actually, the thing is when Robert E. Lee opened up that college, a bunch of kids came to tour the college, and they said, "You're going to learn here." People didn't realize part of that tour included African American kids that were just freed as slaves. They were freed slaves. So, again, people need that before they start getting offended at, which way you piss in the wind. They need to know they really need.
No, the problem is nobody wants to hear the truth anymore.
No,
it's offensive to tell the truth.
You're not even taught in the proper history in class anymore.
It's all gone.
We did this. How about, everybody saying, they did this. We did genocide too. What did we do to the Native American people when we came here? We slaughtered them.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, they spend more time on us dropping the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki than they do about Pearl Harbor.
What pisses me off about that too, and it's not because he was a liberal, it's because he really spoke out of turn. And when President Obama was apologizing to the Japanese, it's like, really? Did you see what they did to our POWs in Japan?
Oh yeah, they used them as science experiments, man.
It almost was like, oh really?
Yeah.
And it's like when somebody, what pisses me off about the right.
Bataan Death March. The Bataan Death March?
Yeah.
You want to talk about fucking how they treated our people? They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
They want to talk about how they were abused and how we wiped out 50,000 people in a single day with a single bomb and saved millions of American lives.
Worst thing ever is when Obama apologized.
If we had, the thing is you never apologize. And secondly, the President of the United States should never bow, especially to the Japanese.
Seeing that we are the ones providing them with defense, we are the one providing them with commerce, and when they went through their recession in the 90s, guess what? William Jefferson Clinton gave them a $457 billion bailout.
Yep, that we got from China.
that we got from
Yeah,
China.
that's the funny thing. Yeah,
We had to borrow it. We had to borrow
by
it
the
to
way,
give
you
it.
got the money from a country that hates your guts, Japan. But hey, let's
Well,
start
listen.
Korea all over again. You know.
Yeah, we're
Right now, I didn't do it, so we
that's
want to go
another
back to
subject.
Korea.
Yeah, what do you think about that, man? If they set it off, Trump has said that he is going to destroy one of their bases where they're launching these missiles from. First of all, do you think he can do it? And secondly, do you think he will do it?
Fuck yeah,
Well, the
he
thing
can.
is, he can do it. All he has to do is call. All he has to do is deploy 2 nuclear submarines, and that's that.
Yeah,
He doesn't even have to launch. He doesn't have to launch an ICBM from a silo in America or from California. All he's got to do is send bases out of San Diego, because they closed Alameda a long time ago.
Right.
But that's all he's got to really do. Actually, not even that. He can have him come out of Pearl and then go to Busan.
Busan, right, and just sit off the coast and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is right now, I guarantee you, if his Joint Chiefs have any freaking brains, he'll tell you, first of all, we're going to get in trouble with UN. China, because China is right next to, even though China doesn't support North Korea anymore.
That's their well, now they say they're not happy with them, but they don't give a fuck. They don't need their fucking
China's
coal.
making money from North Korea. China's the only way North Korea gets things to get imported into the country.
Actually, what they do is they get them from China, but China gets them from Russia.
Right, absolutely.
Or former Slovak countries.
It's a big wheel, man. It's a big spinning wheel, man. It's crazy. Well, we've talked about a lot of shit tonight, man. We've talked about musical equipment. We've talked about bands. We've talked about music history. We've talked about politics tonight, which we rarely do, but that's okay. It was short-lived.
Yeah, but we didn't get nutty over politics like so many people.
No. I think we all agree. I think we all agree on the politics and on end of it. And I've had a really
out of hand.
Yeah,
the thing is American politics. This is what I always tell my friends about how I see American politics now, and I've actually seen it like this since college. American politics is about as real as professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's why Trump won.
That's why
everybody realizes that it's a bunch of bullshit.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a
Come on,
joke.
super delegates.
Come on. Hey, do any three of us think that Trump was going to win this election when he first got in the race? Did you ever say to yourself he's going to win?
No, because of prior behavior. Because prior behavior, he would always run for president. He'd always run for president when there was either a new season of Celebrity Apprentice coming out,
right,
or just to keep his name out there and stay relevant when.
Yeah, but I think he might have started out I really think he might have started out the same way as the past. But once he realized that he was campaigning against a bunch of morons,
and people were actually listening to his message,
that he could win. Now, Joe Biden came out today and said that if he would have ran, he would have beat Trump, and I almost believe that because
I believe it entirely, and I'll tell you why. I'll believe it entirely, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of people, conservative as well as liberal, who trust Joe Biden. They don't trust Hillary.
No.
Especially when they saw what Hillary did, because you know as well as I do, the Democrats had Hillary in their sights, carved in stone. She is going to be our first woman president. Yep. She is going to get the Democratic nominee.
Are you ready for this,
even though Uncle Bernie was kicking her ass.
Joe Biden.
And they went out these super delegates.
Smart. Joe Biden
is
smart. Joe Biden is smarter than a motherfucker. And if it had been Joe Biden in the election, it would have been Ted Cruz against him. Donald Trump would have never made the nomination in the first place.
I don't think it would have been Ted Cruz. I think it would have been John Kasich more than Ted Cruz.
John Kasich, yeah.
Because Kasich was likable. Kasich didn't shoot his mouth off.
I think so, too. He might be. And it would have been two likable guys going up against each other. Because I like Joe Biden.
We haven't had two likable guys since, honestly, we haven't had two likable guys, honestly.
Right.
Last time we had two likable guys, believe it or not, was Clinton and George Herbert Walker Bush.
Yeah,
but you guys missed the point of the whole thing. They wanted it to be Hillary Clinton versus Neil Bush or Jeb Bush.
Yeah, they wanted the
Because
nastiest and the blue and the red. Yeah.
Well, right. No, not only that, the elite control both of them. So if Clinton won or Bush won, they would still have an in the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way they wanted it to go. And Trump came along and just made Bush look like the biggest imbecile on the face of the earth.
Yeah, it made him look like an idiot. You know, attack me all you want, George. Attack me all you want, Bush.
Well, the thing is Jeb. The reason why Jeb, I can tell you why Jeb dropped out.
He was weak.
Because Jeb, no, he wasn't weak. He dropped out for the same reason why Fred Dalton Thompson dropped out. People bullied him into running. Jeb never wanted it. Anybody who lives in Florida will tell you, Jeb Bush never wanted to be president.
You're right. He never acted like he wanted it in the first fucking place. He was just running.
Everybody said, Jeb should have won, not George. Jeb should have run, not George. Well, guess what? George called Jeb and said, hey, Jeb, are you going to run, yea or nay? He said, no, I don't want it. I told you. And that's when George finally said, okay, I'm going to run.
Right. And the legacy going back
Jeb never
now,
wanted it.
The legacy going back, you know, George W. Bush's approval rating has increased. He's over 52% now. So
yeah, but I think the White House has been.
Well, he's been out for almost 20 years.
But he also showed class when he got out. He shut his mouth. And he didn't
he did. Yeah, actually, you know what the sad part is? Barack Obama's trying to do the same thing, and people aren't letting him.
Yeah, they're not letting him.
And it's sad. I think that, you know what? It's like even me. It's like there's some policies of his that I agreed with, some I didn't agree with. And you know what's funny is you hear all these people going after him. And the thing is here's the thing. He's not the president anymore. Let him be like George Bush and George Herbert Walker Bush and Jimmy Carter and all the other past presidents, and leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter's never going to die, by the way.
No, Jimmy Carter. He'll live forever. Jimmy
Carter. The funny thing about Jimmy Carter is, you know, I did a paper on him in high school. And it was funny because my history teacher was an uber liberal. I mean, he was one of those, you know, mega liberals. He didn't like him. He thought he was weak. He thought he was, you know, too aloof. You know, he thought he was still sticking to the Southern Democrats.
Right.
And that were actually conservative Democrats. Absolutely. There's no such thing anymore. Yeah, we're talking ancient history, folks. And the thing is, you know, even Ronald Reagan, you know, biggest uber conservative of our time, you know, said, hey, say what you want about Jimmy Carter, but you remember he gave him an award, and he says, you know, but everything you've done outside the presidency is, you know, not only a testimonial to the person you really are, but, you know, he was able to do more things outside the presidency than he was ever allowed as president.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
He's very good humanitarian. Amazing humanitarian.
Yeah. See, it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that in a political bubble that is the White House and that is the Capitol and the Senate. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're, you know, so left or so right that you can't see straight.
You're right.
There's always going to be somebody in there that's going to say, yeah, but you know what? You're not taking our money that we give to people to feel better about owning their car, you know?
No, you're right. And you know what? And we're going to have to stop there and save that for another debate.
Another show.
Hey, man, we'd like for you to come back again sometime. Yeah, we're absolutely.
That was amazing.
We built up the whole.
We took the whole
show
hour
with you. That's great.
Yeah, we took the whole damn. We took you past. I tried to end it a little while ago, but it didn't go over. We just kept talking politics. So that was awesome. We're going to go a little bit.
Yeah, but we're not. Yeah, but the thing is we weren't talking politics like a bunch of crazy maniacs.
No, and we're not crazy maniacs, and we really had. I had a great time. Guido, did you have a good time tonight?
So did I.
Awesome time. Awesome. That was a whole lot of fun talking about music history, and all that stuff. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Brother,
it was a
come back
blast.
anytime. I'd love to have you on anytime. Next time time we can really
Well,
get into
yeah, hopefully when the new record comes out for Cost of Death, I'd love to.
All right, great. And we want to get that music from you as soon as we can to get that in rotation, okay? We'd love to release it, okay?
Well, I'm glad that you're putting putting the 4 songs I sent you from different albums in rotation. That's cool.
You're definitely going on there. But we appreciate you coming on tonight, man. You have a good evening, and thanks for joining us on KGFRocks.com.
You too. Hey, oh, by the way, Todd,
yes.
If there's any stuff that you listen to on the Reverb Nation page, if there's any songs that you like there, please email me on my private email address, and I will send you those songs so you can put them in rotation.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to it, man, and hopefully we'll come together again when your new album comes out. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. Thank you, guys.
Good night, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night, brother.
Wow, great show, man. Great show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing show, man.
Go ahead and hang up, man. Go ahead and hang up the phone.
Oh, man.
All right, he's gone now. You still there, Guido?
No, I left.
You left. Great show, man.
Right.
We're basically out of time, so
Well, I'll just say thank you and good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening and had a great time. Be sure to check out our other DJs. This is KGFRocks.com and the Conjugal Visits. Good night.
It's Sunday night, and this is the Conjugal Visit on KGFRocks.com.